pitié, jayda jalilade rase. Champions League, ek had gas mein, hanguman kick pe, java naramenne, bhagi dulanne bhidi dasde goal ek gannai sit sarasenne, samarok venne satteta denne. One heart. One game, one heart. Champions League. This is where we start. Together we dream, together we fight. We are the champions. Under the Champions League में अरमन्ने. One game, one heart. Champions League साटनाई अरमन्ने. दिविदेन्ने जयगन्ने. एक सीने डबियान्ने. One game, one heart. Champions League where dreams take part. Raise your flags, feel the art. One game, one heart.
Sri Lanka Football Champions League, powered by TV Supreme.
Hello, good evening everyone and welcome to the Racecourse International Stadium here in the center of Colombo as we're in for another Super 8 round clash in the Sri Lanka Football Champions League as St. Mary's take on Pelicans Sports Club. Two of the dominant sides, two sides that are still unbeaten in this Super round lock horns today. Will one of their unbeaten streaks come to an end? The next 90 minutes will tell us. We take a look at the conditions here in Colombo. Humid as always, but a cool breeze blowing across the racecourse at the moment, and the night games always a little cool and a little easier on the players. But that humidity will cause some problems.
Gentlemen, let's welcome the teams of St. Mary's and Pelicans.
We're all set here at the Racecourse. Both teams about to take center stage. Led out, of course, by the FIFA banner. And a warm reception for both these sides. Nitarshan leading out his St. Mary's outfit, and of course Pelicans led by Sanjay Tirimana, who's been a rock in defense and who's led his side really well throughout this tournament. Both teams led by the match officials. Lakmal Virakodi heading the refereeing panel today. No love is lost throughout the next 90 minutes or so. We'll have to wait and see. Plenty of build up to this game, and I think that midfield battle will be one to watch out for the likes of Prince Clifford and OK Metobo for St. Mary's as well, who can control that midfield. Yes, these are the men under pressure today. Lakmal Virakodi with the whistle, and will be assisted by Kushan Indika and RAI Ratnayaka, with Asanka Silva watching from the touchline. St. Mary's team there know they have a big task ahead of them. Know that top lane, this Pelicans outfit, isn't going to be an easy feat. I'm sure they are hyped up and ready, and they're lights of Ratna Jasmine would have come into this one with a game plan. So all set for a blockbuster clash here at the Racecourse. I welcome Deshan Gunavela into the comm box. Good evening, Deshan.
Good evening, Nathan. It's yet another belter here at the Racecourse International Stadium. This time the pride of the Northwestern Province taking on the pride of the North in yet another thundering clash. For Pelicans, Daniel Musatkin comes back into the starting 11 after being benched last week, and with a point to prove himself, and following a series of results earlier, a tournament that has suddenly opened up. And now for Pelicans, leading them Sanjay Tirimana, Farooq Fauzan in goal. In the front line, Kavindu Vishad, Ernest Ado, and Daniel Musatkin in midfield, Kojo Anoke, Yasaswin Tirimana, Sadurian, and in defense, packed with Vigneshwara Raja Kazanathan, Mohammad Husni, Sanjay Tirimana himself, Mensa Stephen as well.
Yes, it's great to see that Yasaswi Tirimana is fit and ready for this game, especially was stretchered off in their last game, and they got that 2-1 victory. Now taking a look at the side from the north, led by Nitarshan Anikan in goal. Jerinson, Marison, Gumbari, Mathivathanan, Arul, Ruben Raj, Prince Clifford, OK Metobo. They'll be two of the players to watch out for, and the line led by AS Jerushan, with a stack bench as well, set to come off when the need arises. And of course ably led by head coach Ratnam Chusmin. St. Mary's have been a good side in this tournament, but as we were saying, Deshan, blockbuster clash, two unbeaten teams in this Super 8 segment, and it's Pelicans in their green strip, set to kick us off from right to left in this first half.
gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for. Let the countdown begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that's kickoff here at the Racecourse International Stadium in the final game of this game week of the Sri Lanka Football Champions League Super 8 stage. Well and truly underway with just a couple of game weeks remaining now to determine who will take the all-important title and actually, even more importantly, book that final berth in Sri Lanka's top tier. Of course, this entire tournament slightly delayed beyond what we anticipated it would take as a result of the implications of the cyclone Ditwa that hit Sri Lanka in December rather, and as a result, slight delay, but that has led to some of these players being challenged far more than they could have imagined, especially following the start of the fasting period. As per the Islamic faith, a number of the players involved in this tournament as well fasting while taking part in this Champions League tournament, so credit to them pushing their bodies in order to do what they love while pursuing their faith as well. And from a neutral standpoint, the quality of the football certainly hasn't dropped as a result, as very early on pressing hard St. Mary's, speculative effort, but the Pelicans goalkeeper there, Farouk Fauzan, not taking any chances and watching it go out.
Sebastian Arul there putting in the teasing ball, but like you said, was more in hope rather than anything. But straight off the blocks, you can see the intent from St. Mary's. They've got a good press on them. And Pelicans have a good enough midfield to play through a press, Deshan, but will the pressure of the bright lights come to haunt them today? We'll wait and see, as that's nicely flicked on, and run onto it is who else but Kavindu Ishan, but Nitharshan heading that away straight into the hands of Anikan.
Kavindu Ishan tried everything last week, but lacked a little bit in his end product. Not to prove himself in this game. Was a staple in Sri Lanka's national team for a number of years, prior to some of those positions being taken by the expat players, particularly a lot of wingers coming in as a result into the Sri Lanka national setup, and Kavindu Ishan having to sacrifice his place, but still got quite the dynamo on him. Still a key part of the Sri Lanka national setup.
Yes, he is again heading that ball back into midfield, but straight to one of the St. Mary's players, and now a ball out wide onto the left is well collected there by the left wing, and a beautiful through ball, but heavy touch takes it out for just a goal kick. But clearly Deshan, early doors, the press seems to be working for St. Mary's, and if Pelicans can't tighten up, I'm sure the good press from them will produce some results, and hopefully a goal from a St. Mary's standpoint.
Absolutely. We tend to speak quite a bit on the importance of getting that first goal in this tournament. But unfortunately, this game week has been anything to go by. One must turn around and ask how valuable that first goal is, because we've seen a number of roaring comebacks, particularly in the first game yesterday. Sri Lanka police really clawed back a 2-goal deficit. So consistency is the name of the game. How do I manage the game for 90 minutes? And here the ball comes in. Here's an opportunity, but just a bit too forward for the St. Mary's attacker to latch onto it. But like I was saying, consistency is the name of the game, and it really does play a part. Daniel Musatkin with a beautiful first touch, spreads it out wide. Now Pelicans with space to run into. St. Mary's have numbers, getting into the box, looking for support, and just worked out on that occasion.
Yes, first real instance of Pelicans playing through that press, but St. Mary's doing well to get bodies back in defense. They've been really structured throughout this tournament, isn't it, Deshan? That defense has held really firm for them. and allow the playmakers as Kavindu Ishan gets away from his man, and Musatkin was a bit too late. Here's the shot from range, but straight into the bread basket of Anikan.
Kojo Nokia does what he does best, running on to that second phase ball. Daniel Musatkin letting it land. Here you go once again.
As Kojo Nokia been really good in midfield. He's been isolated on many occasions, but he's played through the pressure impressively. And now here's Ernest Ado, among the best goal scorers in this Sri Lanka Football Champions League. And now Ishan trying to play through the lines, flicked on onto the right hand side, trying to create that overlap. Now our Pelicans, and that through ball was on, but Musatkin unfortunately not on the same wavelength as his midfielder there.
Yeah, but beautiful play from Pelicans in terms of form. What that will do is force St. Mary's to think twice, especially in those tight spaces that open up, and potentially create a risk of a missed pass, and that's exactly what St. Mary's have managed to do here. Outnumbered and outbrawned on that occasion. Morrison couldn't really do much as a result, but you can see the idea. Kojo Nokia spreads it out beautifully. Kavindu Ishan, now Kavindu Ishan with space to run into, and he takes it wide. Kavindu Ishan, grass in front of him, grass behind him, and he loses possession at the most important juncture. And now St. Mary's pushing. Sebastiarul, and just missing that pass. Doing well now, Pelicans. Pushing forward. Opportunity to put the ball in. Ball comes in. Here's an opportunity, and that's the first one. Just like that. Pelicans. The plan pays off. And Ernest Ado has been prolific in this tournament. Makes it 1-0 to the Kurunegala side.
Beautiful, beautiful football there from Pelicans. You're talking about being direct, and you can't get more direct than that, can you? Ernest Ado adds to his goal tally, and taking it from defense right up the field in a jiffy, and got that early goal and the crucial goal. We've only played the 8.5 minutes. This was the final ball. What a cross from Kojo Nokia right onto the forehead of his big centre forward, and you can't miss from there, can you? Anikan with no answers, and it's Pelicans. First blood to the Pelicans.
Yeah, lots of questions to be asked. In particular, after St. Mary's defense as well. I think Metobo pointing out that there was nobody in the 6-yard box in front of the goal. Most of them had worked their way to one side. To one side, leaving the big man with probably the easiest header he's going to score in this tournament. St. Mary's will be kicking themselves for making it that easy, but now they've built themselves a mountain to climb.
Just thought the St. Mary's defense was a bit too compact for my liking as well, isn't it? Allow that space out wide for Nokia to run onto the ball and make that cross first time. Need to get their positioning right, need to get their lines right. Do St. Mary's, because we know how ruthless Pelicans can be, but here won back by Matobo in midfield, spreads the ball out wide, but is that too heavy for a rule? Yes, it is. Here's the skipper now for Pelicans, Sanjay Tirimana. And Ado dropping back to help out his defense and works out for his team. Here's Anoke trying to play himself out of trouble. St. Mary's not letting go of that press, forcing Pelicans to go back. Here's Kajanathan now, plays it into midfield and a lovely ball in space, spreads it out wide. Pelicans on the attack again, but just scuffed that cross with the winger, and St. Mary's now with some turnover ball, trying to get out of jail. Yes, Metobo again turning his man. Anoke couldn't do much about that. Stabbed it forward, but no willing runner for St. Mary's. And the ball back in the feet of Farooq Fauzan. Well, if St. Mary's haven't got their positioning right, Deshan, it's great to see that Pelicans have been pretty fluid in this first 10 minutes. They've managed to get bodies in to relieve some of that pressure that St. Mary's are trying to apply. We saw just a few moments ago Ado as well dropping back into defense to outnumber the St. Mary's players, and Coach Ratnam Jusmin will have to adjust as we as the clock ticks on.
Absolutely. I think it's still early enough in the game for St. Mary's to continue sticking to their game plan. They're only one goal behind. Not that they've not had too much success. What they haven't been able to do, unfortunately, is really impose themselves on the game, and I think that's the only red flag Coach Ratnam Jusmin will be thinking about. But based on where things are going at the moment, it's looking a little dangerous if you are a St. Mary's fan, because at least in this first 10 minutes they've not really managed to impose themselves on this game at all. Of course, they've had the fair shout at goal coming off the counter, but it's all been about Pelicans really. And now St. Mary's trying to push down the flank. Jerinson with a long ball, but watching it roll out of play. Mensah Steven, he's had a pretty good season himself, hasn't he, Mensah Steven? Solid at the back. And Coach Aruna Sampath, as always, the most vocal man on the pitch.
Mensah Steven, and we were speaking about this before kickoff as well. They shall probably have the best foreign contingent in this Champions League, isn't it? Pelicans, likes of Anoke, Stephen and Ernest Ado up top. Now here's Kavindu Ishan breaking past his man. Has one of the bigger men to get past, and that time isn't successful and went off his body. So the throw-in will go the way of St. Mary's. Taken quickly there by Mathivadan.
Intensity by the Kurunagala lads, really pressing the St. Mary's side, putting decisions to be made in their hands. And sometimes that's what it is about in defense, isn't it? You ask the question from the attacking player, give him a decision to make, put a thought in his mind. Daniel Musatkin picks up off a beautiful Ernest Ado chested pass, looks for Kavindu Ishan. Kavindu Ishan out wide, Daniel Musatkin down the middle. The Kavindu Ishan cuts inside, takes a shot, goal bound, but didn't have an ounce of the weight he needed to get behind it.
He's had both Musatkin and Ado in the box. Deshan thought Ishan could have tried to play it slightly wider, try and bring his forwards into it. Instead went for the shot by himself and just didn't get any sort of power on that. But now here's Pelicans recycling it. Sadurian, he's been another revelation in midfield for Pelicans, and now it's played over the top for Ernest Ado. Tries to flick it on, can't get past his man, but sits him down beautifully and plays it nicely to Akojo. Flashes wide of Anikan's goal. Looks like he got a little touch on it, and we'll have the first corner, but Pelicans really close yet again.
Coach Wanokia doing it all beautifully, and the best part about that was everyone, including us up here in the commentary box, thought he's going to swing it in at Daniel Musatkin, but Coach Wanokia looking for that little gap between the near post and the keeper, and Anikan was never hitting the goal, but Anikan definitely thought that it was going to go and hit the back of the net.
He's had to take evasive measures there, isn't it? Goalkeepers so often criticized for not guarding that near post. Now here's Ishan looking to swing it. Pelicans have some big men in the forwards, but Anikan does beautifully there, swiftly off his line, claim the high ball. And now trying to release his men on the counter attack. Deflected and falls kindly to the feet of Kojo. Here's Daniel Musatkin through on goal. Daniel Musatkin, Anikan, an absolute ripper. He's had a lot of work to do this past couple of minutes, but Daniel Musatkin, you can't miss one-on-one from there. He'll have his head in his hands after watching that one again, but Anikan take nothing away from the young man. Lovely save to keep it at 1-0.
Yeah, Musatkin did everything perfectly well, fantastic technical ability. Tried to be a little cheeky, curling it past the keeper instead of slotting it home. Should be 2-0 by now to Pelicans, with some daylight now between them and St. Mary's, but Kavindu Ishan now with a corner to take as a result of that attacking move. And he swings it in. Second bite at the cherry potentially. Shot comes in, but nothing doing. So Anikan now with a goal kick and an opportunity to take a small break, collect his bearings. But at the rate things are going at the moment, Ratnam Jusmin is going to have to work a miracle at half time.
Once again going out of St. Mary's player. Pelicans winning possession back. Here's Tirimana. Ernest Ado applying the pressure. Forces another throw in by the look of things. Protests from St. Mary's, but they aren't going to con Lakmal Virakodi on that occasion. And a line out in some good territory for Pelicans. Tirimana can throw a long ball. This time though plays it short, gets it back. And now it's gone off of Kojo Onoke. Pelicans certainly asking all the questions in the first 17.5 minutes. Now it's there for St. Mary's, a missed header. Could this be a gift? Fauzan got his body in the way of that. Nearly handed parity on a platter there, did St. Mary's.
Nidarshan will be kicking himself. I think he was as surprised as everybody else to suddenly see the goalkeeper and the goal in front of him with the ball at hand. Did everything right, Nidarshan, but shot it straight at the keeper. He should be hitting the bottom corners there and would have definitely beaten Fauzan as a result. Fantastic pressing run by Nidarshan. And that's the pressing you were talking about earlier as well, Nathan. The intensity with which St. Mary's are pushing this back line. And that is also what can happen when Mensa Stevens steps forward and drops into that midfield role, the lines between the midfield and the defense. And beautifully exploited the gap behind by the St. Mary's midfielders as well. And here's an opportunity now for Danjuma Gumbari to swing in across and keep the pressure going. Gumbari hoisted, ball headed back into the middle of the park. Here's an opportunity, not the right angle, not the right space to get enough power behind it. So tried to place it, but didn't just get the right connection.
Smetobo there, nothing much he could do really. Probably wasn't the best delivery from the corner flag by Gumbari there. Fauzan will be breathing a huge sigh of relief as he takes his goal kick. Both keepers called into some early action. Yes, Fauzan punts it long, looking for Musatkin. But St. Mary's do well to get there. Now have numbers as well, raging forward are St. Mary's. This time though, Stephen in the right place to make that clearing header, and a Kojo isolated. But St. Mary's ahead of themselves on that occasion. Foul in the man and taken quickly by Pelicans. Here's Ernest Ado, tried to twist out of trouble, ends up playing it back to Stephen. Stephen with a little run, but Stephen has passed it straight to the St. Mary's man. Here it is for Gumbari.
Gumbari did the right thing there, tried to place it past the keeper. Fauzan up to it, and once again, very suddenly, commentators curse. Mensa Stephen looks like the most vulnerable link in that defense, and everything and anything that St. Mary's have done have gone through that space in front of him and in behind him. So two clear-cut chances for the Jaffna side in a very short window. Two chances that many would argue they should be taking. And now Kojo Anokie. Beautiful pass to Kavindu Ishan. Kavindu Ishan stops it. Didn't expect it to fall to feet. Ball cleared. And here you go. Danjuma Gumbari. Defended by Mensa Stephen. He puts his hands up, asking for a foul, but that's all him. And this game has now burst into life as St. Mary's start posing a threat.
This has been end-to-end, and the two playing styles of the teams as well. Deshan set it up for an end-to-end clash. Now it's thrown long. Fauzan camped on his goal line. Headed away by his defense though, but not far. And the shot from range comes, and just a foot or so over Fauzan's crossbar. So St. Mary's slowly but surely playing themselves into this clash. That time the shot came from Jerinson, and not too far from Fauzan's crossbar, but he had that under control. Pelicans will have to be very watchful. One goal lead isn't really a lead, they say, in at this level. So certainly can't be complacent, this Pelicans outfit, as Musatkin misreads that, but it falls kindly for Ernest Ado. Wrong foots the defender. Ado does brilliantly to stay on his feet. Still with the ball, Ernest Ado needs some support. And St. Mary's rather unconvincingly clearing their lines, but the Pelicans players just needed to come up in support. They had Ado isolated. Nearly did it all by himself. Now it's here for Kajanathan. On the right hand side, swings it in nicely. Musatkin couldn't get a boot on that, and Anikan swiftly off his line once again. Taken away by Kajanathan. Here Sadorian does well to turn the defender and draw the foul as well. And finally Deshan, after about 10 minutes of cat and mouse, will have a small breather.
Absolutely. This is what you like to see here in the Champions League. Both teams really going at it. Two solid sides. Beautiful little elevated pass now. Can they make it? Two! Very nearly.
Ado inches away there from his second. But what a ball from midfield, and Ernest Ado read it nicely and just grazes the post as well as it goes out for a goal kick. Just don't know when the next goal is going to come in this game. Yes, St. Mary's now. Mathivadanan Plays it into midfield, but is nipped off beautifully there by Sadurian. Kavindu Ishan, space opening up on the right, but it's closed down by St. Mary's before Nokia can make that pass now into Musatkin. Musatkin went to ground, but referee says Metobo got the ball. Now playing in forward for his winger. Sits the defender down, but he gets back up nicely. Come away with the ball. Here's Anoke looking to switch direction. Kavindu Ishan in some space. Plays it into Ernest Ado and beautifully flicked on, but a bit too heavy, and Nitarshan can come out and see off that wave of danger. St. Mary's now had Gumbari in space, but Tirimana got back to make that clearance. Straight away, lots of chatter on the touchline, both coaches trying to get that tactical edge. Now Kavindu Ishan closed down brilliantly by Mathivadanan. It's great to see the St. Mary's defense just being a bit more fluid and coming out to the wider channels to try and close down these dangerous Pelicans wingers.
Kojo Nokie driving into space, running out of space. Throw in for St. Mary's as a result. So Ratnam Jusmin will be pleased with how his side has tried to get back into this one. Of course, he'll be wanting a goal. Daniel Musatkin, well done by the Russian. Musatkin down the middle, so is Ernest Ado. Beautiful bit of footwork there. Cross not quite convincing, cleared immediately. Nice little elevated pass. Kojo Nokie, 2 men on him. Nokie. Beautiful pass there for the man on the far side, but well defended. That exactly on that occasion is what Metobo is very good at doing. He's a big man. Latching onto it once again to St. Mary's players. Here's an opportunity now for Gumbari. Gumbari has men on either side. Feeds it out to the left. 4v3. Now Pelicans pick it up. Can they counter? Sent long. Here's an opportunity. Well dealt with. Anikan taking no chances. St. Mary is back on it now as we approach the half hour mark rather. A corner now following that clearance by Sanjay Tirimana, and St. Mary's with yet another opportunity to ask some questions of Farooq Fauzan.
Gumbari, this angle will favour him. And St. Mary's getting some bodies in the box. Trying to get in the eye line of Fauzan, who's been put under some pressure after his side scored early. Gumbari swings it out wide, headed back in, needs to flick it on. Still live for St. Mary's.
How has that stayed out? Satkin hits the deck. Will challenge. Tobo catches him. Seems okay. Lakmal Virakuri, the referee, is making sure he's injury free and okay to carry on.
So 3 clear-cut chances for St. Mary's. Had a some big chances to test Fauzan, but all 3 have gone begging. And how many more are Pelicans going to cough up in this first half? They'd love to go into the break level. And they've had plenty of chances to do so. Now Fauzan plays it long, but it's straight at Gumbari. Kavindu Ishan tries to apply the pressure, but there's just too much strength on that man. Now it's worked out wide. Mensa Stephen was sat down there. But the ball has gone out for a goal kick. A bit of a heavy touch on that occasion from Prince Clifford.
Yeah, Prince Clifford wheeling his hands, asking for maybe a foul to be awarded, but Mensa Stephen gets the ball, ricochets off the midfielder, so rightfully no corner on that occasion. Fauzan. Last is defending again from St. Mary's, and now they've got numbers to attack. Danjuma Gumbari just kicks it away in frustration.
Should
Ran
have
out of
done better
space.
there.
Yeah, absolutely, but ran out of space. Tried to drive past. Coach Aruna Sampath, a look of concern on his face. He knows his side should be doing a lot better than they have. But given the man that he is, always pushing for excellence beyond excellence.
This time Gumbari played that ball from an offside position. Touch and go call, but no real danger from that chance anyway. Didn't have a runner inside the Pelicans penalty box. Stephen with the long ball finds the head of a door. Here it is for Kojo Anoke, unleashes from distance. And just wide of Anikan's post once again. That was some lovely Route 1 football there from Pelicans. Stephen to Ado to Anoke. And that long range effort wasn't far away. Kojo Anoke keeping this St. Mary's defense on their toes. They don't know what's coming. Can whip it into the box and can take it from distance as well. Now it ricochets away, and Nitharshan clears the lines for St. Mary's. Flicked on by Metobo. And Pelicans come away with it eventually. Mathivadanan plays it long for Daniel Musatkin, but a bit too heavy there. Anikan sends the ball away, but a heavy touch in midfield, and now it falls to Kojo Anoke. Kavindu Ishan took that beautifully first time, and that wasn't far away either, Deshan.
No, it wasn't. Kavindu Ishan, that's what he's so good at doing. He's got a brilliant turn of pace. Just not being able to find the back of the net this time, but loves hitting that space on the edge of the left-hand side of the box. And he's been, surprisingly, been given the freedom to do it quite often in this game. He's just not been clinical enough to take advantage of it, but St. Mary's do need to worry a little bit about that structure. And now Pelicans pick it up. It's 3v3. Beautiful pass, just falling short of Daniel Musatkin. And now just like that, ball sent to the other end of the pitch. Beautiful elevated pass, just a bit too much on it, and Farouk Fauzan will make no mistake in holding on to that.
It's Some more brilliant work by Sadurian in midfield. He's done brilliantly to force those turnovers. Kojo Noke, of course, the man that's been highlighted, but it's been some good stuff all throughout the season from Sadurian as well, and as a result, Pelicans were a Daniel Musatkin touch away from probably their second goal. 10 minutes to go in this first half, and certainly a game that has kept us all on the edge of our seats. It's Fauzan now. Sends it high into the night sky. It falls, nearly fell to Kavindu Ishan. They are now flicked on, and the shot unleashed from Daniel Musatkin is wide. I think he could have done a bit better there. Had men running up, try and create a better opportunity. Now St. Mary's clearing their lines and applying the pressure on Pelicans. Here it is for Mathivadanam. Taken away and played in, but Sadurian gets a boot in the way of that yet again. Motobo applies the pressure, but Musatkin is there to help out. Eventually goes back to Motobo.
And I think if you were a Pelicans team member, or if you were on the Pelicans bench, immediate order of the day, get across into the halftime interval with a goal in front. Keep St. Mary's digging, keep them a little more desperate, and what that will do, as has happened over the course of this half, is open those opportunities in a stretched back line. Unfortunately for Pelicans, they've not been able to take advantage of the opportunities that have manifested so far. But all they need is a little bit of luck, potentially once again, to convert one of those chances, and suddenly daylight between the two teams becomes a whole different ball game. Farooq Fauzan will take all the time in the world to take this. Ball bouncing, and once again given away. This is what the front line for Pelicans has been so good at today. Pouncing on those second balls, and suddenly St. Mary's, Danjuma Gumbari, he's onside. Can he make it 1-1? How has he missed that?
Need a lot more composure there than Juma Gumbari. Defense was scrambling from Pelicans. The press working for St. Mary's. Gumbari had the entire far post to aim at. Fauzan was camping near that near post. Could have just slotted it past him and it would have been one apiece.
Fauzan's face told you everything you wanted to know about that. The fright of his life seeing Gumbari charge down. He thought he was a goner, but somehow Gumbari gets right under that.
We've seen countless missed opportunities and some really good opportunities, isn't it, Deshan? It's just 1-0 on the scorecard. Could have been 5-4 even if these players were a bit more clinical. Now here's Sado drawing the foul, playing it into midfield, played nicely by Sadurian. Musatkin to Ado, takes it nicely. 2-0 Pelicans, and that's an absolute beauty from Ernest Ado. Well, if he had it handed to him on a plate for the first goal, he's gone and put in the hard yards and created one for himself for his second. And Pelicans now 2 to the good. Some lovely hold-up play by Musatkin as well, and look at that first touch from Ernest Ado. Set it up beautifully for himself to curl it past Arnikan, and there's nothing that the St. Mary's keeper could have done about that.
Absolutely, but what about that composure from the big man, from the Russian, Daniel Musatkin. Looking absolutely composed, 2-3 defenders charging him down, but he's so comfortable taking the touch, looking up, seeing Ernest Ado, rolling it into his path,
Jersey number 13,
which made
Ernest
Ernest Ado's
Ado.
life substantially easier. He just had to roll his foot over the ball and then side foot it. I mean, outside the foot, shoot it into the far corner, but a lot of that goal was down to Daniel Musatkin's technical ability.
Yes, and I think the St. Mary's defense was left wandering there as well. I think everyone thought when Pelicans won that ball back that they'd go outside, and now it's played in by Musatkin again. Onoke flicks it on, but just over the bar. Like I was saying, Deshan, that unpredictability about this Pelicans attack as well. We saw them trying to use the wider channels in the first 25 minutes or so, but over the past 5-10 minutes, they've looked to be a lot more direct. Perhaps they've seen that the St. Mary's defense now hugging the touchlines with their fullbacks, leaving probably their slower defenders isolated in the middle, and Pelicans have the forwards to exploit that, and they've done so brilliantly in the past 10 minutes.
Danjuma Gumbari manages to hold on. Ball comes in. Cleared by Pelicans, but Danjuma Gumbari proving to be a real thorn in the side here for the Kurragala lads. Speculative effort there. Never really going to trouble Farooq Fawzan, but Ratnam Jasmine at this point will just want to get his chargers in, share some input, share some ideas, because his lads can't say that the system they've utilized for today's game hasn't borne fruit. It's created a number of chances for them, this high press. They've just not been able to find the back of the net every single time.
That time Stephen doing a lot better. Take the ball away from Gumbari, and now that press once again wins it back for them in midfield. Can St. Mary's just pull one back before the breather? Cut down the deficit to just one goal. Because the more they continue to cough up those chances, the more and more this game gets taken away from them. Here's Gumbari once again. This time winning that battle with Stephen. Tries to come back but sits him down. Does Danjuma Gumbari, plays it in. Absolutely no one coming on to the end of that ball. Gumbari tried his best there, but he just needed that support from his forwards. Didn't happen on that occasion. Now yes, Kavindu Ishan, but the ball goes back to St. Mary's. Here it is for Clifford, trying to build something here. St. Mary's looking a lot more structured, and looks like Morrison has just been caught there by the Pelican skipper.
And a double substitution lined up as well for St. Mary's in these dying minutes. It looks like
Double substitution for
a quick change.
St.
Prem
Mary's.
Kumar, the forward, coming on
Jersey number 11,
for Morrison.
Morrison is replaced by jersey number 7.
at the same time,
Prem Kumar.
Sebastiarul in the number 19 shirt
Sebastian
coming off
Arul is replaced
for
by
John
jersey
Lavani.
number 26, John Lavani.
I think I'd ask myself why John Lavani wasn't starting this game. He's been rather potent when he's gotten the opportunity, but now a new look attack. He's got some strapping, so maybe not fit for an entire 90 minutes. And now new look attack for St. Mary's.
His coach Jasmine scrambling straight away, putting on some of his options off the bench, trying to adjust that plan, and went straight through the back of Kavindu Ishan there. We'll have to be careful. Mathivadanan, that looked rather cynical, went straight through the back of Kavindu Ishan, and his teammate didn't help either, caught him in the aftermath. Now just a minute left of regulation time before the end of this first half.
From what we are hearing, 2 minutes of added time. Is expected. Kojo Nokie tries to spread the ball wide, but nothing doing. Here you go. Pelicans again. What a different side Pelicans are when Daniel Musatkin's on the pitch. They're rather direct when he's not on it, but when Daniel Musatkin's on the pitch, it's almost like that number 9.5. Well, he's not quite a 10, he's not quite a 9. That number 9.5 that works in those tight spaces just behind the number 9. Feeds the wings, feeds the ball up front to the likes of Ernest Tado, and adds a different dimension to that attack as well. Of course, plying his trade in a number of countries across Southeast Asia as well. Despite his relatively young age, in his early 20s, does carry all that experience with him.
Yes, certainly, Deshan, and what makes it better for Pelicans is that he's got that physicality as well to play number 9. Great support for Ernest Tado, and here's the corner taken quickly.
Beautiful ball, and that is not the third goal. Coach Aruna Sampat, much like ourselves, couldn't believe how Kojo Nokie managed to miss an open goal that could have very much set in stone this time. Beautiful ball coming in, beats the keeper, beats every defender. Kojo Nokie absolutely scuffs that one.
You won't get a better chance than that, will you? Kojo Nokie deserves a goal for the effort he's put in. Had it handed on to him on a platter there. Just had to get any sort of touch on it, but think it came off his shin eventually and just squeezed past the left-handed post. And now St. Mary's, you can see they're getting a bit desperate, isn't it, Deshan? Few fouls in the last 5 minutes or so. They're certainly under the cosh here.
Absolutely, and Ratnam Jasmine with a mountain of work now to do at the half-time interval. I think he should count his blessings, because it could have been a damage limitation prep talk had Kojo Nokie scored that and made it 3-0 within the first half as well. So I think everything has worked out in a way where St. Mary's still have something to fight for in this half.
Yes, certainly not out of it, and this week has been a week of comebacks, has been a week of scrappy affairs. We've seen a couple of 3-2s already, and St. Mary's certainly a very capable side of doing that. As referee Virakodi blows the short whistle, and that will be half-time here at Racecourse. St. Mary's have played well in patches, but just haven't taken their chances, and Pelicans have 2 goals to the good, and St. Mary's have it all to do in that second 45 minutes. Nitarshan wanted to have a bit of a word.
मिलते रहे चैंपियंस लीग एक हाथ गैस में हैंगुमन किक पे जब नरमने भाग दुल्हने भीदी दसते गोल एक गन्ना इसी सरसने समरोपने साथ देने one heart. One game, one heart. Champions League. This is where we start. Together we dream, together we fight. We are the champions. Under the Champions League में अरबने One game, one heart Champions League सागनाई अरबने दिबिदेने जयगन्ने एक सीने डबियाने One game, one heart Champions League where dreams take part Raise your flags, feel the art Football, one game, one heart
Sri Lanka Football Champions League. Powered by TV Supreme.
Creativity, ideas, solid defense, missed chances, and most importantly, goals. And Pelicans, more of the same, please, is what Coach Aruna Sampath would have said at the halftime break. Well, not that, as John Lavani tries to drive through Farooq Fauzan. Watches it roll out. Need to be a bit careful, the Kurunagala side, but Ratnam Jasmine will not be pleased about how that first half panned out for his team. And I'm only assuming that he must have had some very stern instructions in terms of how to progress the rest of this game in order to ensure that they can take something out of it. It's not the first time, or it wouldn't be the first time rather, that one of these teams have turned the tide from a 2-0 deficit, particularly even in this game week. So St. Mary's do have precedent. Pelicans trying to make sure that that precedent does not occur. Kavindu Ishan sends the ball in. Ball goes straight up. And now Anikan picks the ball up.
Esther picking up where he left off, but if you're a Pelicans player, you can't afford to be on your heels, isn't it, Deshan? You know that St. Mary's have the resources to hurt you, but expect this half to be a lot more defensive from the Kurunagala side. As here's Coach Onoke trying to pin back St. Mary's into their own half. And that time the pressure is good and rightfully applauded as well by Coach Aruna Sampath. Kajanathan has been pretty good on that right hand flank. Now here it is for Ado, as probably the biggest man in that St. Mary's defense to deal with, but ends up winning the throw-in. And no prizes for guessing what Sanjay Tirimana or Kajanathan is going to do with this one. He's going to try and send it right into the box. Had Musatkin up as well. But does the St. Mary's defender. I think it was Jerushan on that occasion. Coming in, applying the pressure. And the next throw-in goes the other way.
St. Mary's need to worry about settling in a little bit, keeping the ball, keep it ticking over, just controlling the middle of the park a little bit. The game's been far too end-to-end for either of the sides to really stamp their authority on it. But Pelicans have obviously, as the scoreline suggests, been far more clinical, and in turn are enjoying this 2-goal lead. So St. Mary's need to just be a bit careful, giving it away again very cheaply, and opening the door for Pelicans once again to come up. Musatkin with a beautiful pass, 1-2, and Boss shot comes in. Very nearly Kavindu Ishan makes it 3. And I think Coach Aruna Sampath with a smile on his face for the first time this game. Nathan, 3 goals, and suddenly this becomes a rout, doesn't it?
Yes, certainly. I think a third goal will definitely kill this game. Kavindu Ishan not far away on that occasion, and Anikan did well. It has remained at 2-0. Largely in part to Anikan. He made a couple of sharp saves in that first one. This time Coach Onoke not quite sure what he was trying to do there, but sends it sailing over the goal post. And now St. Mary's with an opportunity to try and get up the field.
St. Mary's trying to control the middle of the park, driving through. Pass comes in. John Lavani chasing it. John Lavani very nearly gets it, and now spreads the ball out wide there. Jerinson. Pelicans pick it up again, and here they are. Daniel Musatkin driving through the middle. Daniel Musatkin finds his man out wide. Kavindu Ishan. Kavindu Ishan back to Musatkin. Kavindu Ishan. Musatkin again concedes possession. St. Mary's now have it. Once again, the Gurunagalads turn over possession immediately. Gumbari now in that midfield role, Lavani up top. Pelicans again. Beautiful little pass there, just a bit too much on it. Oh, Ernestado.
Well, from St. Mary's as they're tiring out. Now played 50 minutes of football.
Beautiful one touch, one pass play. Pelicans exploring their pure creative football to the hilt right now. But St. Mary's determination not quite bearing fruit. Mensa Steven takes it short. Pelicans win it back and give it back immediately. Late challenge there. Yasaswin Tirimana. Lakmal Virakodi bringing him back immediately for a quick word. I don't think there was too much malicious intent in that challenge, but Yasaswin just a bit too late. And that is exactly what Lakmal Virakodi says to the younger Tirimana. More of that and you're going to see a card.
He just got the timing awfully wrong on that occasion. Now here it is for Metobo. Try and thump one downfield. Has plenty of bodies in that box, but Pelicans do have the height on them to deal with it. Here it is for Lavani. And Fauzan swiftly off his line to make the claim. Lavani wasn't too far away from getting a touch on that. You can see there, just got away from him at the last moment. Metobo with a really teasing ball into the box. Looks like in the aftermath of that Lavani challenge, Farooq Fauzan has done himself some damage as well. And medic immediately called on. Looked like he was caught in the ribs by Lavani. Both of them, no malicious intent there either. Both of them going for that ball, as you can see there. And yes, just the elbow of Lavani going into the side of Farooq Fauzan, and that's going to be pretty uncomfortable for the young keeper. But he's been ably attended to by the medical staff, and hopefully he'll be back up on his feet. Crowd anxiously watching St. Mary's faithful. Some of them would have made that long trip all the way from Jaffna to come and support their side. They've really been under the pump today. A win and 2 draws in their Super 8 campaign so far. And we'll be looking to try and close it out on a high, but Pelicans look like the side who's going to do that at the moment. They themselves are unbeaten, entered this tournament as one of the favourites and have certainly held true to that favourites tag, as now trying to step out of traffic is Prince Clifford. Ends up winning the throw-in, and they'll take it quickly through Ruben Raj. Prem Kumar was isolated there, and the combination of Musatkin and Kavindu Ishan sees possession turned over once again. Now played long by Yakojo. Lovely first touch to put it into the path of Ernest Ado. But that time, OK Metobo read that pretty well to come in front of the man, making that clearance. Now here it is for Ruben Raj once again. Plays it long and a bit of a loose touch. Falls kindly for Prince Clifford. But brilliant pressure once again by who else but Sadurian in that midfield. Now has options inside, outside. Falls again for him. Still not over. But eventually St. Mary's managed to outnumber the man. But just needed to be a bit more decisive there. Sadurian needed to release that ball. Had both Ado and Musatkin inside and outside him. And another injury. This time Jerushan has gone to ground and the medical staff is called on. Just caught by Kavindu Ishan. And really feeling the aftermath of that challenge from Sadurian. On replay, looks like he was trying to milk it, but play was, of course, allowed to continue. Sadurian couldn't make much of that opportunity, and he's back up on his feet as well. Jerushan. It's been all over the park today for St. Mary's. His work rate is admirable, listed as a forward, but I've seen him making those contributions down in defense as well. Now Lavani wrestles past his man, turns him. Plays it over the top for Gumbari, and Fauzan makes a mess of it, but was caught in the process, and the defense was going to make that clearance anyway. Fauzan for the second time in 2 minutes on the floor, but take a look at this ball over the top from Lavani. Fauzan just losing sight of the ball. But Mensa Stephen was there in support and just applied enough pressure to force Gumbari wide. Protest for a penalty from Gumbari as well, but Stephen got the ball. And looks like it's a foul called on Gumbari for that challenge on Fauzan. Had Lavani clatter into his ribs just a couple of minutes ago, and now did some damage onto his left hand. We'll take a closer look at what happened there. His arms were away from his body, and I think just as he came down there, the entire weight of his body falling onto that left hand of his. And looks like he's done himself some damage. Pelicans do have Timira Karunaratne on the bench as a replacement keeper, if his services are required. But for now looks like Fauzan is back up on his feet. It's a good chance for Coach Jasmine. Let a few more orders out to his chargers, and that's exactly what he's done. Stephen takes a free kick, boots it long to Kavindu Ishan. Lovely ball, but not enough weight on it to find Musatkin. Now here it comes over the top once again. And this time closed down brilliantly by Sadurian. Plays it in for Musatkin. And referee Virakodi has spotted something, and it's a free kick. It's some good real estate for Pelicans as the clock ticks towards the hour mark. A third goal now would really hurt St. Mary's. And with time running out as well, just half an hour to go in this game, could put it to bed, as Stephen, with that heavy right boot of his, lines this one up. Goes for the shot, but execution wasn't really there from the big centre half on that occasion. Now Akojo. Lovely 1-2 in midfield. Nearly picked off there by St. Mary's, and that's exactly what Jerushan has done. His side may be under the pump, but his work rate, as we've said before, has been admirable, and now taken away by Mathivadanan. Foul call, but under some strong protests. Look clean in real time as well. Take a look at the replay there. It's look clean in real time. Now here it is, Musatkin. Boy, did that come out of nothing for Pelicans. Lovely ball played in by Yasaswin Tirimana there. And Musatkin probably got it on the wrong foot. Didn't have a favorable angle to convert that opportunity. Now St. Mary's playing with some urgency. Unleashing Gumbari, who's made that shift out onto the right wing, is caught. Draws the foul. And could this be the opportunity for St. Mary's? Haven't created much in this second half as they did in the first. Credits must go to the Pelicans defense, but with a set piece. Could this be the opportunity that turns the tide? Skipper Nitarshan sits over it. We've seen in the first round as well, got a really heavy boot on him, and you can see the intent from St. Mary's. Got 6 players in that penalty box. Couple camped outside, and just the sole man, Mathivadanan, sweeping on that halfway mark, going for the kill here. Nitarshan swings it in. Just couldn't get that header to go down. Could the number 6 for St. Mary's. It was a lovely ball from Nitarshan. Free header as well. But unfortunately couldn't make it count. And that's probably the best chance that they've created in this second half so far. As the clock ticks over 63 minutes, 27 minutes left for St. Mary's to try and turn this game around. Flicked on there by Tirimana, missed the header, did Metobo, but was held down by Musatkin. And possession has been conceded once again. Takes it quickly, does Metobo. Here's Gumbari, one-on-one, heavy touch, takes it away. And that touch allowed the defender to come in, make that clearance, but it's still a throw-in for St. Mary's, who've had a bit of front foot ball over the last 5 minutes or so. There another tease-in ball in. Falls to Jerushan. Taken well by Prince Clifford. Flashes over the top of Fausan's goal. He has a word or two for his defense as well. But St. Mary's certainly on the front foot, Deshan, over the past few minutes, but still can't really seem to create anything.
Absolutely, St. Mary's, as we roll into the 70th minute mark or so, need to get that first goal in, Nathan. If not, what it does do adds that element of pressure. When your 6 turns into 7, you know, as the young kids call it, 6-7. The pressure on the players, they see the clock ticking away, just goes up that one level. Lavani trying something cheeky, loses possession but manages to win the foul. But as we continue, St. Mary's will give the world, I think, for a goal. in the next 5 minutes as Mithunsan
Substitution for
is
St.
going to be
Mary's.
replacing Jerinson.
Just
Jerinson.
number 10, J. Jerinson is replaced by just
Very
number
interesting
4,
there. Defender coming on for a forward, Deshan, when you're chasing a game like this.
That's what I was going to say as well. I mean, it's not that Jerinson has had a bad game. He's been popping up all over the pitch, and here's an opportunity. John Lavani. Here's a chance. Well claimed on that occasion by Farooq Fauzan. But like you said, potentially a bit of a shuffle in terms of the positions on the pitch.
As you can see, a change in formation from Pelicans as well. They are trying to do something different in this second half. They can afford to throw caution to the wind just a little bit. You can see Musatkin has tucked in, and the fullbacks are getting up the field as well. Sometimes playing with a front five almost in possession. As Prince Clifford exploits the space. Here it is for Lavani.
Should be hitting that with his left foot. Never the right angle to hit it with his right. Lavani, of course, favors his right foot, but just let it roll across his body a little bit more. Fantastic work from Prince Clifford. Lavani takes it, one more touch, and maybe hit it on the left, and it's hitting the far corner of the goal, but tries to be a bit smart, just not getting the right contact.
This could have done with a bit more composure there, isn't it? On replay, looked like he had plenty of time to take it down and shift it onto his left boot, like you said, but chance goes big in for St. Mary's. Second one they've coughed up in the past 5 minutes. Had that free header a few moments ago as well. And it's probably now's the time to exploit Pelicans if there ever was one. They're trying to go for the kill with that third as Okojo wins it back nicely. Flicked on by Musatkin. Still there for Kavindu Ishan. And a first contribution for Mithunsan as he clears the line for his side. It is now that Pelicans are trying to get men up the field. Opportunities will come as Lavani sits down Fauzan. But Stephen was there to support his keeper and send it upfield to Kavindu Ishan. Here's Musatkin now, flicks it on for Kojo. Lovely one-touch football, beautiful ball from Ernest Ado. Just went away from Kojo there.
This is the kind of football that neutrals love to watch. Ball moving back to front very quickly, phase after phase. And once again, ball swung in. John Lavani. Not quite in the right position to get the header, but tried his best. Ball swung back in. Here's an opportunity. A wall of Pelican defenders there. Musatkin tries to get it away, doesn't really get too far. And now pushing on. Straight up, Paul Hoyt in the air. Lavani, first touch not very good. Second touch worse than the first, but and now ping pong on the football pitch at the moment, but St. Mary's beautiful little Hoik just a yard and a half too far on that occasion for Danjuma. Gumbari and the referee stopping play now, because by the looks of it, Mensa Steven has hit the deck.
It's just watching that last passage of play there, Shan. I think St. Mary's can afford to just slow the game down a little bit. They're trying to be a bit too urgent for my liking. Perhaps have more time than they think they do to survey their options when they get the ball. Well, Lavani certainly has made a difference, but sometimes just has been a bit lost on what to do with the ball when he gets it, and a heavy touch from the defender.
Kavindu Ishan nearly getting on the end of that one, and that is what St. Mary's need to be careful about. Conceding cheap chances that come really from nothing. The likes of Kavindu Ishan on that front line can be dangerous because they've got an absolute beautiful burst of pace. Pelicans with the throw in now. Throw in taken short there by Sanjay Tiriman. Possession turned over, and St. Mary's now with a free kick. The intensity certainly hasn't dropped since the first half, although we've not seen any goals, but Tiriman shuffling back.
Did really well there, the Pelicans skipper. Take it away from Prince Clifford. Just 17 minutes left in this game now. Has been scoreless in the second half. And I'm sure Pelicans have absolutely no complaints about that. As Ado drops back in, as he has done all game, to force yet another turnover of possession. Musatkin wasn't far away from that. Sadurian took a heavy touch back to Akojo. Now here's the younger Tirimana playing it back to Musatkin. Plays it first time and cleared away by Prem Kumar. And it's gone all the way out for a goal kick to Fauzan. Plenty of activity there. Perhaps more changes come in for St. Mary's. They made 3 so far.
There's some substitutions certainly on the cards at the moment. St. Mary's and Pelicans both one last roll of the dice. Pelicans look like they've taken the initiative here. Quick change potentially in defense. Lahiru Sampath stretching by the touchline off your screens.
Yes, I mean this Pelicans outfit, it's the same starting 11 that has played the entire 75 minutes so far. So could do with some fresh legs for sure. Here's Kavindu Ishan now. Prem Kumar nudges that one away, and now it's turned over. Here's Nidarshan playing it through to Lavani.
What an important touch that was. Lavani was on his bike and could have had only the goalkeeper to beat if it wasn't for that goal-saving tackle just getting in the way and kicking it off.
Plays it back to Anikan now. Here they come. Prem Kumar wins that battle on this occasion with Akojo, but Akojo's back for a second bout. And just isolating the man in midfield. He does well to come away with the ball. And now have an extra man in attack. Do St. Mary's. Here's Lavani. Beautiful ball from Prince Clifford. Lavani had to do better there.
But what a challenge that was. Body on the line. Goal yards away. And just as Lavani was about to pull the trigger, Mensa Stephen comes in and pulls off what can only be described as a goal-saving tackle. Lavani built like a tank. Mensa Stephen taking all that force. The substitutions now about to happen. Daniel Musatkin, that's the end of his race for today. Selvam Sudarshan is going to be coming on his behalf. The Russian has played an important part in a number of phases in this game, showing his composure. And on the other side, guess as we assumed, Lahiru Sampath is going to be coming on in place of Kavindu Ishan. So, defensive-minded changes in place of the two attackers, and it looks like Coach Aruna Sampath is comfortable with the 2-goal lead and wants to ensure that he shows up that defense.
Yes, I think Sutarshan will just slot into that left wing position where Kavindu Ishan was playing, and Musatkin, they've got in a defender on for one of their midfielders. And a change coming for St. Mary's as well. So both players are back up on their feet. Did really well there, did Sudarian, to wrestle his man off the ball and then cleared away by Kojo.
Kojo Enoke showing off all his fancy feathers tonight. Beautiful ball coming in. Again, Mensa Stephen. He's not the man you want to try and get past because he will make your life difficult. Concedes a foul cheaply there. Gumbari, by the looks of it, yes. These Pelicans lads will now take every opportunity they can to burn off a few seconds.
Yes, they've already succeeded in doing so when Mensa Stephen went down after that clash with Lavani. And Fauzan as well has gone to ground a couple of times. He's really been in the firing line in this second half, but you have to admire the physicality. Not the biggest goalkeeper by any stretch of the imagination, but he's had the courage to come off his line, make those claims, and not allow Lavani to get into the game. And now here's Ernest Ado, goes past the defense, fires in a shot, and just goes past Anikan's crossbar. Didn't have any options inside either, had to go for the goal there. And now spreading it out wide to Ruben Raj. St. Mary's still haven't given up on this one, but Pelicans doing just enough in this second half. Here's a Kojo once again, brilliant interception. Flicked on by Ernest Ado, takes it out wide. Needs support to arrive. Support arrives in the form of Saturshan. St. Mary's trying desperately to force a turnover of their own, but Pelicans more than happy to go back all the way to Fauzan, and now taken away by Stephen.
Mensa Stephen showing fantastic composure there to take a touch between the two attackers. And that initial move is what led to that challenge by Ruben Raj, who just kicks off in frustration more than anything else. But fantastic defensive play by Mensa Stephen first.
Yes, Mensa Stephen, we saw in the first half, didn't have the best start to this game, but has really grown into it, isn't it? Deshan, especially in this second half, has made some telling contributions to keep the clean sheet intact for his defense. And
yeah, he has been the rock at the back. I think fantastic work also on that occasion by Yasaswin Tiriman to take that touch, and a beautiful touch that takes him away from the defender and back towards goal. And Ruben Raj, in the interest of his team and the interest of securing that goal, I don't think he had too much of a choice.
Stephen looks for Ernest Ado, flicked on for him. And now a heavy touch, and it falls kindly for Ernest Ado. Tries to play it in for Saturshan. Think he would have done a lot better to just take the shot himself, trying to set it up for his substitute. And it didn't work on that occasion for Pelicans. A touch too many. And a coach was stepping in to win possession back. And closed down beautifully by Prince Clifford, who now plays on Lavani. It's a race for the goal line. Here's John Lavani, plays it in. But no one coming on to the end of that. And just hasn't been enough support, isn't it, Deshan, for John Lavani? He's tried his best, but no one's running those supporting lines to really test this Pelicans defense.
It's almost like, despite whatever St. Mary's have been doing, they've been unable to find the back of the net. Has been one of those days for St. Mary's so far. And a hopeful shot. Not really what you need at this stage in the game.
So it looks like St. Mary's trying to play with a target man, isn't it? Since bringing John Lavani on with the likes of Gumbari on that wing, trying to play him in. But Pelicans do have the physicality in that backline to deal with just the sole target man, isn't it? They've got to get more options into that box if they are to try and keep this Pelicans defense guessing. And perhaps that's what's allowed Mensah Stephen to come into this game as well. He knows exactly who to mark. And in what we've seen so far in this 82 minutes, it looks like that's the only threat St. Mary's have had going forward. And now looks rather bleak for the side from the north. Just 7.5 minutes left in the allotted 90 minutes. It falls kindly for Gumbari, but a tired shot from him. He's put in a real effort on the wing. You can see he's just tiring out as the clock ticks into the final 10 minutes here.
Absolutely, and Gumbari played up top initially in place of John Lavani, leading the line later as an attacking midfielder. And then now playing out wide on this left flank, cutting in on the inside. So he's done it all for his side today. Just not having that finesse. And it's not like St. Mary's haven't had the chances. They've had plenty at different stages of the game. They've just not been able to turn those into goals. Whereas Pelicans have been considerably better at converting the opportunities they've gotten, and it has been reflected in the scoreline as well. It's overall a far more threatening side, the Kurunagala lads.
Yes, the second half has just flown by, hasn't it? Certainly no drop in intensity despite the lack of goals. So now the ball finds the feet of Ernest Ado. Tries to play in Kojo Nokye, and Ernest Ado gets on the end of the return ball. Now in a one-on-one situation. Kojo is there in support, but hits it straight into the leg of Gumbari, and it goes out for another throw-in. And perhaps one final roll of the dice coming in now from Coach Jasmine, as he's looking to unleash Jintushan and John Loyas. Throwing a couple of strikers on, trying to give his team more options up top. Probably one final gamble
Substitution
from
for
Jasmine.
St. Mary's.
But all Pelicans need to do is just see out the next 5 minutes or so, and they will finish this super round unbeaten.
So that's Danjuma Gumbari's game done.
24 is Ruben Raj, replaced by jersey number 9, Siva Subramanian.
He's had a good game. He's tried his best. Just lacking that cutting edge to turn some of those opportunities into goals, Danjuma Gumbari. But he can be proud of the race he's run. Beautiful little touch there. Still pushing, still prodding. St. Mary's, one goal, suddenly the game changes, but no, Pelicans hold them in their tracks.
Yes, if Pelicans are able to hold on for this clean sheet, Deshan, it will be some effort from them. St. Mary's have had some really good opportunities, but the likes of Stephen and Fauzan have done pretty well, and St. Mary's haven't done themselves any favors either. Have missed a couple of sitters, and your mind goes back to that Gumbari missed chance.
And again, in attack, Pelicans far more intense than their northern rivals. Again, look at how the support comes in. Not quite the right finish that was required there, but again,
the passing and trailing of the player, running into space, creating options. Pelicans have just been far better today. And a beautiful pass and an opportunity to get the ball into the box. Far too eager with that cross.
Just overcooks it there on that occasion. But more good work from Saduryan. He's been an unsung hero today for Pelicans. Forced plenty of turnovers, put a lot of pressure on St. Mary's, and his defensive contributions have allowed the likes of Kojo Nokia to just venture upfield, because he has that reassurance that he's got a man sweeping up in behind him. This time another ball in hope, but defender makes an absolute mess of it. And Yasasmi Tirimana.
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself. He'd think that he should have buried that one as well. I mean, realistically, it doesn't look like St. Mary's have enough time to claw two back. But a required foul almost on John Lavani. Mensa Stephen getting taken out of the game there following that tackle, and in return, just to make sure that there was no potential for any future damage, Mohammad Husni diving in with a thundering tackle that rightly, I think, did deserve a yellow card as well.
Yes, certainly, and it'll be a free kick in a good position for St. Mary's. A chance for them to get some bodies into the box, but doesn't look like they're doing that, Deshan. Instead, it's Pelicans that have got all their men back, and St. Mary's certainly have to show a lot more intent than this, isn't it?
Absolutely. Dying seconds now in the game. A little more than 90 seconds to go. Really has been the story of their game. It's never going anywhere near the goal.
So close yet so far once again. And this late into a fixture.
Mensa Stephen going to kick that as far away as possible. That's just a confirmation now of Mohammad Husni's yellow card earlier today. Kojo Nokke. Ernest Odo finding his players. Back to Kojo Nokke. Spreads it out wide.
Pelicans still showing that intent to go forward, try and add that third goal, try and top off what has been a class performance from the Kurunegala outfit. And St. Mary's really need to take a leaf out of their book, as 4 minutes of added time after the end of the 90 minutes. So just 4 minutes more for Pelicans to deal with, and Fauzan, no surprise, no prizes for guessing what he's going to do. He's going to try and run down as many seconds as possible. The dark arts, as they call them, Deshan.
Yeah, and much needed. You need to ensure now what you do. Well, in football terms at least, it's called in-game management. How do I ensure that the result I have and the result I want stays the same over the course of the next few minutes? They've got more games left this season. They've got more results that they want going their way.
Yes, the Sri Lanka Football Champions League really ticking into its business end, isn't it, Deshan? We've got the playoffs to come to see who will take that position among Sri Lanka's best as the next couple of months roll around. A really crucial period for Sri Lanka football as well, and a competitive top flight is needed ahead of a tough international season as well.
Absolutely. Got yet another one of the World Cup qualifiers to come. The SAF Championships to follow after that. And a new dawn for Sri Lanka as well with the departure of coach Al Mutairi. So a lot of big things, a lot of new things coming over the football scene in 2026. And just earlier today, an announcement was made by Football Sri Lanka that the Super League season for 25-26 will also begin shortly. With the official launch ceremony of the Super League set to be on the 28th of March. And the first game and the start of the Super League from the 3rd of April 2026 as well. So lots going on. And even at the conclusion of this Champions League football tournament, fans won't have to wait very long to see their local football stars in action.
Yes, but not much of a break for the sides that will be promoted from this Champions League, isn't it, Deshan? That could be something, some cause for concern. They've been playing since late November. And just a month or so of rest before they move on into what is going to be an even more intense season in the top flight.
The price you pay for success these days. And one more substitution now for Pelicans. Quick 1 minute run out.
Substitution for Pelicans.
Coming on, Kamal Lanzana, the forward, in place of Ernest Ado. Ernest Ado's done his job today.
Jersey number 13, Ernest Ado is replaced by jersey number 20.
So a quick run out for Kamal Lanzana to try and make some noise. Try and get on the end of something. And Mensa Steven hikes this ball up. Doesn't really go anywhere near the goal, but ends up straight back with him, and he's happy to watch that roll out of play.
Just 40 seconds left now. Pelicans have sealed the deal. It's been a splendid performance from them. And they'll be buoyed by this performance as well, Deshan, because last time out, they weren't, even though they ended up on the correct side on the score sheet, they weren't very convincing. So they really pulled their socks up, and they played a really good game. They played to the game plan, and Coach Aruna Sampath has certainly won that tactical battle as well, which is really heartening heading into the crunch part of this season where you can't afford to be unconvincing, where you have to bring your A game to try and unsettle some of the other teams at the top to vie for the trophy of this Sri Lanka Football Champions League. Now as the clock ticks over 4 minutes, perhaps one last chance for Pelicans. Flicked away by Lavani. Nitarshan still wants to play, but referee Rakmal Virakodi blows the long whistle. And Coach Aruna Sampath, he won't show it, but I can tell you he'll be a really, really happy man.
Gentlemen, the full-time score is St. Mary's.
They are finally letting out a little smile. It's been an outstanding performance, not just from the 11 men who took the field.
එකට මොකද්ද වෙන්න ඕනි කියලා ඒ විදියටම මගේ ප්ලේයර්ලා සෙල්ලම් කරා ඒ හින්දා මට ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න හම්බ වුණා.
Promises to be an enthralling segment of the Sri Lanka Football Champions League as it ticks towards its